My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today we have entered the 24th week of Ordinary Sunday. For today's reflection, we have the Gospel from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 8, verses 27 to 35. There are 3 points for us to meditate on these verses. First is that Peter's confession about Jesus. And second is that the first prediction of the Jesus Passover. Third, the condition of discipleship. When we meditate upon these three topics, here Jesus raises a question to his disciples. Who am I? What do the people say about me? We know the answers. And ultimately we see that Peter telling to Jesus, you are the Messiah. The word Messiah is a verbal phrase. It means the anointed one or the anointed king or the promised one who was promised in the Old Testament has come. And therefore, this word Messiah can be understood in the same way as we can understand in Exodus chapter 3 verses 14, where Moses, when encountering God, asked God, who are you? Or he tells, what shall I tell to Pharaoh? Who are you? What answer shall I give? God answers, I am who am. It is not a verbal phrase it is not a name phrase or a name, particular name, but it is a verbal phrase. In Tamil we can say it is not a pearsal but a venachal. Venachal means where God is always in action, always in movement, and presenting himself as a person, as a doer, as a person is. Same way, Jesus is presented here as a Messiah who is continuing as a Savior, who is anointed to save the souls, to call the sinners to live a better life. And therefore, he places certain conditions. And before placing the conditions, he is telling about the life that he will undergo, the difficulties that will face. When Jesus expresses his difficulties that he is going to undergo, naturally, Peter, thinking on the worldly pattern, in the worldly mindset, calls Jesus and takes Jesus aside and trying to explain to Jesus, trying to tell to Jesus that this is not the right path. But Jesus, rebuking Peter, says to him, get behind me, Satan. Why? Because Peter has understood the life Jesus has to lead as only a life for health, wealth, happiness, and success. Whereas the other side of the life, he wants Jesus to avoid, and he himself also wants to avoid. And therefore, Jesus, making things clear to him, goes on to say in chapter 8, verses 34, whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. What does Jesus mean? Jesus means that being a Messiah doesn't mean that he is only a cross bearer, but he is also a cross sender. So, whoever is called to follow Jesus cannot live in a comfort zone. Many of our brothers and sisters who have chosen to live a religious life, entered various congregations, entered various religious societies, and entered various dioceses, prepare to live a comfort life. We are not called, my dear brothers and sisters, to live a comfortable life. We are called to bear the cross. Suppose we are living among the poor, we need to live like Mother Teresa. If you are living in prison, we need to live like Macmillan Kolbe. We are living among the sick people. We are supposed to live like Peter Damian. If you are orator, we have to become like Martin Luther King. If you are a writer, we have to become like Saint Paul. And like that, if you are living among the tribals, we need to live like Father Stan Swami. And our life has to become an example for others, bearing the cross and accepting the cross that has sent to us. We can see in the present world, my dear brothers and sisters, bearing the cross has been very nicely, very neatly, very challengingly lived by the people who are in the health service department and in the police force. During this past 1.5 years of pandemic, they have lived an exemplary life, risking their lives, have put themselves in deep fire, in deep water, have served the humanity. Have the church